This message comes from NPR sponsor Amazon Studios with the film Herself. From the director of The Iron Lady and Mamma Mia comes a story of a young mother who, against all odds, creates a home for her daughters with the help of unexpected friends. Starts January 8th on Prime Video.
Look Radio with us, Click and Clack, the Tappert Brothers, and we're broadcasting this week from the Center for Analogous Thought here at Car Talk Plaza. Now, these are from our buddies at the Washington Post who occasionally ask their readers to be creative, and this time they ask people to come up with analogies we're unlikely to see in literature. And here are a few that we like. Hit it, Tommy.
Well, here's the first one that came from Barbara Turner from Tacoma Park, Maryland. Jim was as nervous as an albino penguin in a bowling alley. How do you come up with stuff like that?
I don't know, but there were some even better ones, I think.
Here's one sent in by Chuck Smith. His mustache looked like a fuzzy caterpillar seeking shade under a big nose. Go ahead, read a few of them.
Her emotions were a mixture of fear and joy, like when you have a really good-looking stalker. That was sent in by Kevin Marshall.
Here's another one from Chuck Smith. Her tears rolled down her face, playing pinball on her zits.
Here's the last one from Brendan Beery. The law's purpose was inexplicable, like that weird yellow grit on the bottom of English muffins. Well, anyway, look, if your car has you scratching your head like the assembly instructions for a 14-piece dinette set from IKEA, give us a call. We're at 888-CAR-TALK. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Sid from Mukilteo, Washington.
Muckle?
Mukilteo, it means a good place to camp.
Ah.
In what language?
Boy Scout. In Boy Scout.
Probably the local Indian language, Tulalip maybe. I don't know for sure that. Anyhow, I got an 87 Bronco that spends about 360 days a year parked under a tree, and once in a while I take it out to haul something, and I was doing that the other day, and it was sort of a stop-and-go highway, and I started noticing that the brakes were pulling harder and harder to the left. And as I was noticing that, I was also noticing that there was more and more travel on the brake pedal, and it began to dawn on me that probably wasn't a good thing.
No.
And then the pedal was going all the way to the floor, and I had no more brakes.
And how far had you driven it before all this happened?
20 minutes or so.
Okay.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I had exactly the same symptom in my MGTD the other day.
And it took him a week to figure out how to cut one of his brake lines.
Well, I pulled over, and, it's got one of those foot brake parking brakes, and that seemed to work okay.
Sure.
So I sat there, and I managed to figure out how to open the hood and look and see, and it had plenty of brake fluid.
So, by the way, after 360 days of being under this tree, how much bird poop was on this truck?
Well, I usually, the window wipers don't work, so I can only take it out when it's a sunny day, and I usually have to go out and spend a good time cleaning the windshield off.
I bet.
And what do you use this vehicle for?
Well, about once a year we need to go get some mulch for our lawn, for our garden, and in this particular case I was taking a big rug down to Seattle to some place to have it cleaned because that was the only place my wife thought could do it right.
And how long a ride is that?
25-plus miles.
So you didn't make it?
No, I didn't make it.
Okay, continue your story,
Okay, so I pulled over on the side of the road and determined that there is brake fluid. And so I called AAA, and it's a busy day, and they say it's going to be at least a couple hours. So I said, what the heck? I think I can drive this thing home using the parking brake. But the amazing thing is that I was heading home, and I just went not very far, and I tried the brake again and noticed, my gosh, I'm starting to get a little brake working here again. And by the time I was home, the brake was working totally as if nothing had ever happened. So it went from going all the way to the floor with no brakes to coming back to acting like it was just as good as new.
So the next day, did you drive it to Seattle?
It's still sitting in my
under the tree
driveway with the rug still in it. Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, it may have fixed itself.
Yeah.
Because I think the first thing I wrote down when you started telling your story an hour ago is that I wrote down the two words: seized caliper. I think you had a stuck caliper.
Yeah.
Okay, and because a stuck caliper keeps that brake on all the time, it overheats the brake fluid and will cause it to boil.
And when it boils, it doesn't work anymore.
You know, so when it boils, you lose brake pressure because you start making bubbles in the hydraulic system, and you step on the pedal and it sinks to the floor because it's now full of air bubbles. And then once the caliper either becomes unstuck or cools off, if you just let the thing sit there and it cools off enough, you know, the temperature of the brake fluid will go down and everything will be like it was in the beginning.
Right.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to take it someplace and see if they can really free up the caliper any better. I know you don't want to spend any money on this thing because you only use it to buy mulch once a year.
Right. I mean, it's worth about the price of a brake caliper.
And the fact that you only drive it once a year, is told me that it's the likely thing because a caliper that doesn't get exercise is likely to rust up.
Well,
Doesn't rain much where you are, does it?
Just every
Not
day.
under the tree. Under the tree, it's fairly dry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
right.
if you were driving this thing every day, the caliper would be unlikely to stick because you'd be exercising it. Those slides would be moving. But because you're not driving the thing, here's what you do. Every once so often you get in there, you just pump the pedal 7 or 8 or 10 times and close the door. And scrape the most recent layer of bird poop off, and you'll be good to go. But have someone look and see if you need a caliper. If you do, you'll have to decide whether or not you want to junk it.
Okay.
All right.
Makes sense.
Good
All
luck,
right.
Sid.
All right, thanks.
But that's what happened. I'm 100% sure.
Me
Okay,
too.
So I can take my wife out again and.
Oh,
She
she'll
won't
be
get in the
safe.
car.
No, she'll never ride with you again.
She'll never ride with. Not in this thing.
No, no.
All right.
That's all right. Buy yourself a good stereo. See you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Sid. 888 Car Talk. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Oh, hello. This is Estelle from Rochester, New York.
Hi,
Estelle?
Estelle.
I have a 99 Volvo V70, and I was having some trouble with the steering and a whining sound. And I also had discovered a day or two earlier that I was having a leak under I thought it was an oil leak. And when I checked the reservoir for the power steering, it was low. I took it over to the service center, and they topped it off. And the mechanic looked under the engine and said, "You have a leak in the reservoir, and you're going to need a new steering rack."
Oh.
Oh.
But then he said something curious. He said, "Or you can just keep filling up the reservoir." And I thought, well, $1,200 versus $20 for filling it up.
Oh, it's less than that. You can buy a whole case of the stuff for $20 and fill it up yourself. Now you know where to put it, right? It's that little reservoir right on top.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
that's rotten advice.
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
It depends.
I mean, I know it's something you would do.
Oh, no, it's not something I would do. It's definitely something you would do. I would fix it because I go to the shop every day. You wouldn't fix it, but
I wouldn't fix it. No.
he obviously looked at this thing and determined perhaps that the leak is not a huge leak. That it might
Right.
be, you might have leaked a drop here or a drop there. When you saw this puddle on the ground, how big was it?
Size of my fist.
Oh.
It had been sitting in the garage for about 2 or 3 days.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a big leak.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not a little leak.
Yeah, it's a big leak,
That's
probably.
way too big.
I know I have to eventually get this replaced, but how long can I go with just filling it up without messing up the steering?
Well, can you trust yourself to look at the power steering pump every day?
Sure. Yes, I
You
can.
you can.
Yes.
And you may notice in the first day that you don't need any.
Okay.
But you may find out that you need it every 3 days or whatever it takes.
Right.
And as long as that reservoir is full,
You're good.
you're all right. I mean, at some point, the leak will get so bad that you can't possibly pour it in fast enough. And you'll
That would
know
be
that
bad.
because when you walk into the garage to get the car out, the puddle will be bigger than the car. And when that happens, you'll know it's time to do it. But you could easily go a month or maybe even much longer than that.
Okay.
As long as you don't. And here's the danger.
But if you forget,
If you forget, it's not the end of the world because, first of all, it'll just get hard to steer.
Okay.
Okay? But the other danger is that you would burn out the pump. So instead of being $1,300, it's going to be $1,800.
Okay.
So every time you run the pump dry, the pump sadly relies on the fluid, the very fluid that it's pumping, to lubricate itself.
Okay.
So when it runs out of fluid, not only does it not do its job, but it also cooks itself. So the seals and the
so
bearings
you'll
get
need a new
overheated.
pump.
So you'll need a new pump. So you can add $500 on. But if you don't let it ever run out, then the pump is perfectly happy to keep. In fact, it's happier to keep pumping nice, fresh fluid around all the time.
Well, when I noticed I was having trouble steering, I had the whining sound. I pulled off into the parking lot of the post office. I popped the top, and it was all,
foam.
liquidy. And then I dried it off, and I put it back in, and I pulled it out, and it was dry.
Yeah.
So I looked down, and then I could see the liquid in it. So I didn't see the bottom of the container.
That would have been bad.
That would have been bad.
That would have been real bad, yeah.
But there was liquid. So did I hurt the pump at that point when I got that low?
No, there's no question you damaged it a little bit. Anytime the pump makes noise, it's getting damaged. On the other hand, if the noise went away entirely when they filled it up.
It did, yeah.
Then it's good.
And it's a 99. I mean, you're ready for a new car anyway, right?
No. We just had a baby. This one has to
I can hear the baby.
You hear him?
Yes, I hear him. Well, it's a nice, safe car to have if you have a baby, so you'll probably want to keep it for a while.
Okay, so as long as I check it every day or every other day.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get okay.
As long as you keep it full or near full, you'll be okay. And like Tommy says,
I'm a little reluctant. Now you got a little kid in the car as well.
Come
on.
No, don't worry about it. You got a month. You going to do it within a month?
I can save up the money in a month. Yeah.
You're good to go. Don't worry. But check it every day, like Tommy suggests, and you'll know after a while that how often you have to add stuff. And you know the noise now. So when you hear the noise,
as soon as you hear it, you got to get yourself a supply of this stuff.
You need a couple of bottles of power steering fluid.
Oh yeah, you gotta buy. Go to the store and buy 3 bottles.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right next to the yogurt. See you, Estelle.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We're starting to give lousier and lousier advice.
No, we're not starting. It's going on for a long time. You're just noticing.
Well,
and I'm afraid our listeners are too.
See, the trouble is, we're starting to tell people to do what we would do.
No.
And we know how bad that is.
No, I don't
because
think...
look what you drive and look what I drive. I mean, would you go for a ride in either of those cars?
No, my car.
If someone said, "I'll give you a ride,"
I would
drive. Say, no, you won't.
I would drive my car anywhere.
Well, I'd drive my car anywhere too, but nobody would go with me.
No, nobody would go with you. You wouldn't make it anywhere. No, but the advice about adding the PS fluid is perfectly sound advice, especially if she doesn't have the money to fix it right away. I mean, it's not dangerous.
I'm just worried that she's going to forget.
Well, if she forgets, it's going to cost her an extra $500.
Okay.
The rest of my case. 888 Car Talk. That's 888-227-8255. A lawyer on Car Talk.
But people call this show because they want advice.
We gave her advice. It was lousy, I'll admit, but we gave her. Hello, who's this?
Hi, this is Michael from Berkeley, Michigan.
Hi, Michael. What do you want?
You mind if I interrupt things here?
No.
I got this car.
Go ahead.
All right, what do you want?
I got a 1998 Honda Accord.
Uh-huh.
Got 90-some thousand miles. The weather was nice here a few weeks ago. I rode my bike to work, and my wife drove my car. And she comes home, and she says, "Is your car falling apart? There are these noises coming from the back."
Which you, of course, don't hear because...
Oh, I tune them out. Yeah, I don't hear it.
You tune them out, right. See, this is getting worse and worse.
So go ahead.
So we take it out for a drive, and it's some squeaking noises from the rear end, like a creaky door or a hardwood floor kind of noise.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Oh, it's just a suspension. It's nothing. It's probably fine." We spent 8 hours in the car together this past weekend, and she prevailed upon me to do something about it, which was call you guys.
And these are squeaky noises?
Yeah. If I stand next to the back of the car and push on the trunk, I can hear it kind of make short, quick squeaks, and it's mostly low speed and bumps and braking and stuff.
Tell her to get lost.
She might. Well, what does she drive?
She has an 03 Vibe.
And her 03 Vibe is not as beat up as your 98 Accord and doesn't make noises yet, or at least noises that bother her.
Right.
But your car...
I think your analysis of what the noises are is exactly correct.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Should I lube it or something?
Well, there are bushings. There are suspension bushings back there. This car has independent rear suspension, and as such, it has control arms that move and bushings on the control arms, and there's not much else back there. It could even be something as simple as your exhaust system making noise on the little hangers that it's on. And, but if you can make the noise by bouncing on the bumper, you could ask her to bounce on the bumper while you stuck your head kind of half underneath the car.
And you'd tell exactly where it came from.
Yeah, you may be able to put your hand on the very thing that's making the noise, and you can lube it with, liquid wrench or something like that. And then, on the other hand, you could take it someplace, and they can put it up on the lift and tell you what's wrong and charge you $1,400 to fix it.
Great, thanks.
But I mean, you may have a little trouble finding it, but my feeling is that it's nothing serious. But with as many miles on it as you have, it might not be a bad idea to have somebody look at it.
Just take it in and say, I got these squeaks in the back. Just tell me it's okay. And they will tell you it's okay, I think.
Okay.
All right. See you, Michael.
Great. Thanks very much.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, look, do you happen to remember last week's puzzler?
Last week's puzzler. If you put me on a medieval rack and stretch my limbs in opposite directions, I don't think I could come up with last week's puzzler.
Oh, really? Can we try it anyway?
No.
Well, just for your information, last week's puzzler was a word puzzler about homophones. Words that sound the same. And we'll have all the details and more of your car questions in just a minute.
So please stay tuned.
I was riding around, I was cutting the town in my daddy's old Oldsmobile. It's a faded out red, the motor's half dead, ain't no hubcaps on the wheel. Well, I was being laughed at by all my friends from school. All the young girls were looking away. That's when I made up my mind. I had to get my own ride, and I saw it coming home that day. A purple GTO, yeah, it's the only car for me. I wanna hear my daddy say he'll help me find a way to get into the driver's seat.
Support for Car Talk and NPR comes from our new line of original mid-century modern lounge furniture, which we admit looks like a collection of old bench seats from Nissenbaum's junkyard, from NPR, NPR member stations, and
LendingTree.com, where you can choose from up to 4 customized loan offers. 1-800-555-TREE. When banks compete, you win. LendingTree.com. And
Allstate now offering accident forgiveness, and a reminder that your odds of having an accident go up when you are tired.
so if listening to my brother is putting you to sleep, pull over.
Hey! More information at allstate.com. Are you in good hands? And
Travelocity, with customer support available all trip long, so you'll never roam alone. Travelocity.com or 1-888-TRAVELOCITY.
And even though Corey Flintoff wonders if that apprenticeship at Pipefitters Local 201 is still available whenever he hears us say it, this is NPR, National Public Radio. Hi, we're back. You're listening to Car Talk with us, Click and Clack, the Tappert Brothers, and we're here to talk about cars, car repair, and, of course, the answer to last week's puzzler. And this was sent in recently by a fellow named Dan O'Leary, who's trying to channel Will Shortz, I guess. Anyway, Dan wrote, I recently came upon a common one-syllable word. The word
I remember it.
See? Huh? Do you remember the answer?
No.
I didn't think so. The word has 5 letters, and it has a unique property. If you remove the first letter, the remaining 4 letters form a homophone of the original word. That is a word that sounds exactly the same. So the first letter of this word is apparently unnecessary for pronunciation purposes, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you put that first letter back,
And you take out the second letter.
the result is yet another homophone of the original word. So the second letter is also unnecessary. Interesting language we have, isn't it? And the question is, what's the word?
Well, I remember thinking this was a very interesting puzzler.
Now, I have only one answer, but I'm sure our listeners will going to email us 5,000 other answers.
Impossible.
Well, Dan only came up with one answer. I only came up with one answer. But
Give me the first letter.
The first letter is S. S, yeah. This is no time to be thinking about it. You should have been thinking about it all last week.
All right, I give up.
And the second letter is C, and the third letter is E, the fourth is N, and the fifth is T. Scent.
Oh!
Right? Move the first letter.
Oh, it's good.
And you wind up with the word scent, S-E-N-T.
Or scent.
Or C-E-N-T. Pretty good, eh?
Well, I thought S and C were
going to be pivotal.
Were what the first 2 letters had to be. But I couldn't think of any words.
Anyway, who's our winner?
Oh, The winner this week is Claude Lowry from Greenwood, Indiana. And for having his answer selected at random from among all the correct answers that we got, Claude is going to get a $26 gift certificate to the Shameless Commerce Division at cartalk.com, with which he can get our CD chock full of calls about mothers and cars. The collection is called Maternal Combustion, and it's yours, Claude, for being this week's puzzler winner. Congratulations, buddy.
Good work. Anyway, if you didn't win this week, tough noogies. No, if you didn't win, you'll have another chance in the third half of the show when we do, the new puzzler. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you have questions about your car or anything else, our number is 888-CAR-TALK. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Ronnie from Thousand Oaks.
Hi, Ronnie. R-O-N...
R-O-N-I. Where is Thousand Oaks?
Thousand Oaks is in California.
That's right. It's up the coast from L.A.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably been there.
I probably have.
What's going on, Ronnie?
Well, I've got a 2006 Legacy Outback, and inevitably on Friday night, my tank will be getting low, and then my boyfriend gets in to drive us somewhere, and he gets very concerned that I'll ruin my catalytic converter because I'm low on gas.
And what is his source of this knowledge? Is he just a big mouth? Or is he just a wise guy?
He's just a lover of cars, and he's owned 1 million of them. And he thinks he saw it in the owner's manual decades ago, or maybe when they first came out.
Well, lots of for lots of different reasons, you don't want to run out of gas. And I guess there's a possibility that if you do run out of gas, you could, in the estimation of the manufacturers, you could harm the catalytic converter.
Yeah, I mean, he's not completely wrong, because if you run out of gas, what he says is true. But being low on gas is not enough to do it.
Ah.
So it depends on how low you are and whether it's that you're on the verge of running out of gas. You don't want that to happen.
Well, on the other hand, it's impossible to know. You have a low fuel light on this dashboard,
That's
right?
impossible.
I've even got one of those indicators that tells you how many miles you can go.
Well, those can be off, too. I think you have to test it. You got to do it, obviously, when he's not in the car. How long has this guy been a boyfriend? Long time?
6 years.
6 years? Are you hoping this relationship goes any farther than this?
I think it's time to dump him.
Or is this it? Jeez.
Well, obviously we haven't figured it out yet. We need another 6 years.
Are you really down so low that you're in danger of running out of gas?
I don't know. I've never run out of gas.
I think you need to. You need to find out, how many miles after the light comes on and the thing says 20 miles to empty, the thing is really out of gas. We used to play. We still do play a little game here among the staff. We get cars to test drive, and
this is not a game.
No,
it's not a game anymore.
It's serious now.
It's getting serious.
And Tommy drives the car for a few days, and I drive it, and Doug Berman, our producer, drives. We take turns driving the cars, and we swap the cars. And, of course, if I get the car with a full tank of gas, which I do, I try to give it to the next person in line with the smallest amount of gas possible.
Perfect.
And so it's.
I mean, I've seen Doug Berman sitting somewhere down the street with the engine running.
Yeah.
Because he's getting ready to give the car to my brother.
But one day I gave a car to him. Well, no, he gave a car to me. It was a Lincoln Town car, and it had one of those things on the dashboard that said miles to empty.
Yeah.
And it said 0. Well, it obviously wasn't right, but it might have been close. I don't know. I mean, I drove to the closest gas station. It might have been off by a mile or two, but I was tempted at that point to just drive it.
And see what happens.
So you may have to do this, Ronnie.
Well, can I do it with my old Subaru Outback?
Well, it won't tell you anything about this car.
By the way, to answer your original question, I think what the manufacturers are worried about is that if you run out of gas and you're trying to start the car with insufficient gas, in other words, the injectors are just putting a little tiny squirt in, and you're running the car with a very, very, very lean mixture, okay, you could overheat and melt the converter. But it's not
so
like...
your boyfriend is right about that.
Okay.
Yeah, technically he's right, but you need to find out, Ronnie, I think, how far you can push him and the gas tank.
I think my brother's nuts.
See you later, Ronnie.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
888 Car Talk. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Matt from St. Paul.
Hey, Matt, what's going on?
Well, I've got a 93 Escort wagon that has an interesting problem. When I'm accelerating on the highway and I'm in the left lane and I stomp on the gas, the car wants to go in the right lane all on its own without turning the steering wheel.
Well, you know why? It's because that big V8 engine you have under the hood is causing
Exactly.
torque steer. Really?
Is that typical, would you say, at this point? The car's got over 300,000 miles, and I'm wondering if I'm running into a safety situation.
I think you're running into a safety situation because
Yeah, I think so.
You haven't thought that you'd have somebody look at this thing to see if the wheels are ready to fall off?
No, that's a rather novel idea.
Yeah.
How long has it been doing this?
It has not been doing it forever. I bought the car used, and
Did you buy it with $250 on it?
no, it had over 300 on it at that point. But it seemed to do it a little bit at first, and then it seemed to go away. But now I've driven the car recently, and it seems to have accelerated, or the problem seems to have gotten worse very quickly.
Yeah. So you bought. Let me get this right. You bought a car that already had 300,000 miles on it.
Sure.
How much you pay for it?
I paid about $1,000 for it.
What are you, crazy?
You wouldn't believe this car. It looks like it's got less than 100,000 on it.
Really?
It was a one-owner car, and it had been taken care of beautifully. It was in immaculate condition.
Yeah. I think when this car was made, it barely cost $1,000 new.
That's probably true. You know, the funny thing about this car is, though, that I've talked to a lot of people who have owned this exact car, and they all say it's been the best car they ever owned.
Well, in defense of that car, I will say, and we used to work on Escorts a lot until they kind of disappeared. I mean, they all got retired except for yours. And I will say that aside from a few chronic problems, they were pretty darn good cars.
Right.
You know, and they would run for many, many miles. I don't think I ever saw one that went 300,000 miles. And the previous owner, what did that person do for a living?
He apparently had a job that she was on the road considerably.
I would think.
She racked those first 200,000 miles on within 5 years.
Gee, if you had to do 40,000 miles a year, would you want to do them in an Escort?
Probably not.
Probably
No,
not.
but
maybe
could you afford to do them in anything else?
Right, I'm sure she got pretty good mileage, and the car was cheap. And obviously, she did the one thing that always is good for cars. She drove it at a steady speed.
Right.
Because changing speeds is always a killer, as you're about to find out.
Okay.
And it might be a killer for you, too, because I think you probably have a control arm bushing that's worn out. So when you accelerate and you add more torque, what you're doing is you're moving the right control arm such that it's pulling because the back bushing is worn out, you're pulling that right wheel and making it turn to the right. In other words, it would be as if someone yanked on the tie rod of just one wheel and turned it to the right, and the other wheel isn't turning.
Okay.
And that would make you change lanes.
And while you're thinking of getting it looked at, do not drive in the left lane again.
Okay.
No, you can't drive in the right lane. You'll wind up in the ditch.
Because you shouldn't be driving that fast.
Oh, that's true.
You want to stay in the right lane and do 20 miles an hour until you get it looked at, because it really is very dangerous.
Yeah, try to get it looked at within the next 50 or 60,000 miles. On the other hand, this could be a heck of a parlor trick. You're going to be holding the steering wheel and tell your passenger, hey, watch this. Get it looked at, Matt, before we read about you in the paper.
I will do that.
Thanks for your call.
Thank you for your time.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
888 Car Talk. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Heather calling from Richmond, Virginia.
Hi, Heather. What's up?
Well, I'm calling about my 1991 Alfa Romeo Spider Veloce. I'm considering taking a job in Italy, and I can bring one car with me.
And that's it.
No, why would you bring? They got them over there.
No, but it's not my car. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to finish the restoration of my car in her place of birth.
Yeah.
But my question to you is my U.S. Alpha sort of the same Alfa that was produced for sale in Italy mechanically. Am I going to be able to get parts for it there? Is there something different about the
Well, you can't get parts for it here.
Oh, I know that. That's one of the reasons I thought I'd take it to Italy.
Yeah, you might have a better chance in Italy.
Tell us what you want to get done over there.
Well, I replaced the transmission. I've done most of the mechanical issues. I mean, I have the standard oil leak that will never seem to go away.
The leak, it's got an S on the end.
Yeah.
Heather. Leaks.
This is not one thing leaking; it's another. I need to do some cosmetic stuff. I can't find a new dashboard for her. It's like she's too new for the aftermarket repair.
Do you have any engine-related things that you need to get done?
To my knowledge, no, but she has 70,000 miles on her, so I'm always sort of afraid that something
70?
70.
Only 70?
She's beautiful. It's like a long
Heather,
time
you know
to
what?
find her.
How long are you going to be in Italy, and where are you going to be?
I'll be in Sigonella, and I would be there for 2 years.
Where is that?
Sigonella, it's on that little island off the boot.
Oh, right.
There's a big naval base there.
Yeah, I see.
And what are you going to be
You're
doing?
not going to get anything done there, you know
And
that.
what are you going to be doing there?
I'm in the military.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I would be stationed there.
Great.
That'd be wonderful. Because you probably don't speak Italian too well, do you?
No, I don't speak Italian.
You might
Not one
need,
drop.
You might need a few guys to come along and help you translate. My brother's available.
I'll have room, and I'll send you an email, and you guys can visit whenever you want.
Okay. Well, so
Well,
on this little island, you might not find people who are.
You're not going to find anybody on the island. And I'm beginning to think this is going to be a pain in the neck to even have with me.
And do you really want Italians working on your car?
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, I don't know. I mean,
I would be tempted to leave this car here.
Okay.
How big is the island, by the way?
It's little. I mean, I could probably drive it in, couple
Drive all
hours.
around it now.
So your idea is that when you had free time, you would put this car on a ferry boat and get it to the mainland and tool around in the Amalfi
it's like
Coast.
a 2-hour ferry ride to the mainland.
Right, and then you'd be free to go to Positano and all those places.
Yes, and cruise around Europe on vacation.
Yeah. We could meet you in Positano.
Okay. It's a date.
The ideal thing would be to take it someplace that's not on the island.
Okay.
Get them to fix the car.
You
then
got
when
to
it's-
get off the island.
And then when it's fixed and you take a couple of weeks off, you can tool around all over southern Italy. And then when stuff that they fixed breaks, you could just take it back to them and leave it there until they fix this stuff again.
I wouldn't do it. I mean, if the problem is getting parts, you can get the parts in Italy and ship them back.
Right, because I could at least while I was there get parts that I.
Oh,
can't
that's
find
another
here.
possible. Right, you could find out from your guys here what they need, and then you could have the parts sent. You could probably smuggle them out in your, they make the government pay for them.
Yeah, in your military guise.
Pack them in my house. Oh no.
Right, your Foot Locker, right?
Yeah,
Stop
and
getting,
if you
stop
wanna-
getting fenders in a Foot Locker, but I'm sure there's a way. You fold them.
But if you want to drive around in southern Italy or middle Italy, I would do that in a rented car.
Okay.
I wouldn't mess with this.
But
All right.
but it won't be an adventure.
No.
Why? What is she going to rent?
No,
a
no.
Honda?
No,
she's going to rent an Italian
No,
car.
but it won't be the same as Heather being able to say, this
I drove
car and
by
I drove all
Italy.
around southern Italy when I was stationed there.
She won't be able to say this car because she'll be able to say the car that I used to own, which I had to leave there because it got smashed up by some crazy Italian wacko.
Ah, well, I mean, no. I think, Heather, if you want to take the car with you, you take it. It'll be something you'll tell your grandchildren about. And you'll still have the car because you'll never let go of it.
No,
I
that's my hope.
think you take the Alfa and it'll be an adventure.
Okay.
And what's the worst thing that can happen?
Worst thing that can happen is I can lose her and I have to go find
So
another
make
one.
sure you take a lot of photos so you'll have some proof that you were there with the car. And I think that'll be fun. It'll be great to hang those photos on your wall and say, this is when the car and I got smashed up.
Yeah. Hope that it gets demolished in the first year. You'll have a whole year to look for another one.
Yeah, well, don't be so pessimistic. I think you're going to have a great time and buona fortuna, as they say, which means good luck.
Oh, thank you guys.
See you, Heather.
Yeah, good luck,
Bye.
Heather.
Bye-bye. All right, I think it's time for us to take a short little break.
And when we come back, will you have for us a spectacular new puzzler?
Wishful thinking. I mean, look, when we come back, Will you have a spectacular new memory?
Extremely unlikely.
Well, I rest my case. But I will have a new puzzler about Aunt Bertha.
And we'll take more of your car questions, so stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute.
Someday I'm gonna get myself a hoopty automobile with black tinted windows and say carpet appeal. In the front it'll have a bench seat so my baby can sit by my side. And everyone will wonder if they can get a ride. And everyone will question, when is he coming back? And they'll say, oh, that's a Mr. Shepherd in his big black Cadillac.
Support for Car Talk at NPR comes from refusing to take pledges in anything but euros from NPR, NPR member stations, and
Lumber Liquidators, hardwood, bamboo, and cork flooring. Catalog at 1-800-FLOORING. And
Allstate, now offering accident forgiveness. And this reminder not to drive like my brother.
oh, like my brother.
More information at allstate.com. Are you in good hands? And
Sitforless.com, direct seller of the Herman Miller Aeron chair. All Aeron colors and configurations available. On the web at sitforless.com. And
The Economist magazine, which tells not only what's happening around the world each week, but why. The Economist at newsstands, in bookstores, and at economist.com.
And even though bagpipers wonder what that grating noise is every time they hear us say it, this is NPR, National Public Radio.
Ha! We're back. You're listening to Car Talk with us, Click and Clack, the Tappert brothers, and we're here to talk about cars, car repair, and the new puzzler.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who sent this in. A fellow named Larry Gordon, I think.
He's probably thrilled right now.
No, he's thrilled, but he won't recognize the
He
puzzle.
won't recognize
and
anything.
And I mean no disrespect to Aunt Bertha, Larry, but
I know that this guy's going to say, I sent that in. You've obfuscated it, shall we say. It happens.
I changed the story a little bit, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, it's unrecognizable. Am I right?
Except for the Aunt Bertha part. When I was a kid, I always looked forward to the Christmas visits from my Aunt Bertha. She was always fun. Every year she gave me the same present, 2 pairs of hand-knitted wool socks. We lived in San Diego, and I didn't really need wool socks, but it was the thought that counted.
Yeah.
In 1951, when I was 10, our folks told me that Aunt Bertha would not be coming for Christmas. She wasn't feeling well, and at her age, the trip was difficult, to say the least. I kind of sensed that this was pretty much the end of the wool socks, and I was right. It was also the end of Aunt Bertha. Before the week was out, she was dead. Now, when the county medical examiner filled out her death certificate, he, of course, had to list a cause of death. Now, I can't be 100% sure, but I think Aunt Bertha could well have been the last person in the U.S. to die and have this listed as his or her official cause of death. Now, there were many Americans who died of the same thing in 1951 and before, but none after.
Ooh.
The question is, what did Aunt Bertha die of? Now, if you think you know the answer...
She was the last person in this country to die of it.
Yeah, and if you think you know the answer, write it on the underside of a VL89 luxury pool table in feathered mahogany with diamond sanded frame, cast iron supports, Italian slate playing surface, noise-deadening pockets, and, of course, table cover, and send it along with architectural plans for a 16 by 20-foot addition to Puzzler Tower, Car Talk Plaza, Box 3500, Harvard Square, Cambridge.
Our fair city.
Matt 02238.
Or you can email us your answer from cartalk.com.
If you have a car question for us right now, we're at 888-CAR-TALK. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Sarah. I'm from Blacksburg, Virginia. How are you?
Is that a Sarah with an H?
It is with an H. Thanks for asking.
Well, it's so difficult to tell.
Yes. But I do have a 2001 Forester, Subaru Forester.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've been having a lot of problems when I excel, and it's only on when you turn the wheel to the right.
Wait, when you what?
Accelerate?
Yes.
Accelerate, okay.
Yes.
And what's the problem you have?
The noise is, it's almost like it's a shimmy, but it's more of like a gung, 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 gung kind of sound. And as you excel, it gets louder, and it also increases in timing as well. I am almost positive it's on the right side of the car, but my husband insists it's on the left side of the car. So we don't really know where it's coming
Who's
from.
driving? You are.
Yes, when he's driving, he's saying it's on the left, and I can feel it underneath me on the right. But I usually drive anyway, and it's a little bit more difficult to gauge where it is when I'm driving. But when I'm in the passenger seat, I seem to notice it almost underneath me.
And he thinks no matter where he sits that it's coming from the left, or that is the driver's side?
Yeah, he never sits in the passenger side.
Oh, he never sits. And if he were to sit in the passenger side, he might feel the same thing on the floor that you're feeling.
He may.
Well,
yeah.
it must be coming from the middle then. Yeah, I mean, you must have 100,000 miles in this car.
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah, and it's got to be a bad constant velocity joint, and it usually is the case that if you're making a right-hand turn and you're getting the boom, 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 it's usually worse if it's the left axle joint that's gone.
Oh,
So
So it's the one on the left.
So I think he's right. I mean, or the left. I think he's left. He's left to be right. He's right to be left.
Now he's going to say, "You've been in car talk, and now see, you've proven me right."
Yeah, exactly. Well, he could still be wrong. I would go with your instincts, and I would trust whoever has to work on the car will figure it out.
Okay, so probably the left side.
I think it's the left outer CV joint, in which case you would replace the entire left axle. But considering the age of the car, I wouldn't be surprised if the boots were torn on the other front axle as well.
Okay. Because we thought that maybe that there was a bowing on the actual wheel and that I should just replace all my tires first.
No, it's not tires.
Okay.
No, if it were, you'd be getting the noise when you went straight ahead. And, if you were on a quiet street driving the car, you'd hear boom, 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 boom while you were moving straight ahead. You can try also accelerating hard from a dead stop and not turning the wheel. You might be able to reproduce it. Okay. Sometimes if it's an axle, you can get it to do it then. But it almost always will do it when you're making the axle bend, because that's what happens. You have to make the constant velocity joint flex, actually, when you make turns.
And how long has it been making this noise?
I would say about...
Years? Has it been years?
No. It's been less than, I would say, a month or two.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not in any danger.
You're not in danger yet.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
But have it done. There's no sense waiting.
Okay.
See you, Sarah.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your
Good
call.
luck.
888 Car Talk. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is David from sunny Newbury Park, California.
Hi, David.
Wow.
What's going on?
I have just purchased a 1995 Isuzu Trooper, and it had a low 67,000 miles on it, and now I'm having some buyer's remorse because of shifting difficulties.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yes.
And what kind of shifting difficulties are you having?
Well, most of the time, basically when I take off in first gear, it kind of lurches back and forth just a little bit, kind of like when you first learn how to drive a manual transmission.
Oh, and this is a manual transmission?
Yeah, it's a 5-speed manual.
Okay.
So at low RPM, first gear seems like it's geared like a tank, and it just doesn't want to accelerate smoothly. And then,
And what it does is it really starts jerking back and forth?
yeah, definitely. And sometimes that happens in second gear too. Now, I thought this could be two things. I'm thinking it might be the clutch, but also the idle kind of fluctuates between, say, 700 and 1,000 RPM every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that may be like a timing belt or some kind of accelerator problem. But more recently, and this only happens periodically, when I add a little bit of RPM, either in first gear or in reverse, and engage the clutch, then I get this noise that kind of goes, but not like a belt.
Yeah.
Oh, like a clutch that's slipping.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I didn't know if it was a clutch plate thing or, what.
Well, it could be. How long have you had this, you said?
I mean, a month and a half.
And 67,000 miles is nothing.
It's right, exactly. So I'm thinking, gosh, what did I just buy someone else's headache?
Oh, yeah, you know that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, what did you expect? I mean,
But you know how to check the clutch. A quick and dirty check.
Tell me the quick and dirty.
Well,
You drive up to
drive up to a tree. This is my brother's remedy. Slowly drive up to a tree.
Slowly drive up to a tree so that the front of the car is right near the tree, right touching the tree, and put on the handbrake. Engine's running, and you put it in fifth gear, and you slowly take your foot off the clutch revving it up as you do.
Okay.
So you're going to end up with the clutch all the way out, revving it up as fast as it'll go, because it's not going to go anywhere. And if it keeps running, you need a clutch.
Right. Don't do this against your wife's prized dogwood tree. I mean, you know.
I mean,
Or my best
it
friend.
should.
And
see,
if your
the
emergency-
clutch is working, it'll stall right out.
Okay.
And if it isn't working correctly, you'll hear the noise, the "whoa," and the thing will probably continue to run as the clutch slips. So it could be that you need a clutch, but alternatively, I mean, let's assume it passes that test. The other possibility is that your idle speed is too low and your ignition timing is too retarded.
Okay.
And that could also cause the thing to buck,
I'm betting
but
that
not
that's,
the noise.
That's what it is.
So none of this stuff was in evidence when you test drove the vehicle.
No, not at all. I mean, that's just it. I was so proud of myself, man. I crawled under the vehicle. I checked everything else. And then all of a sudden, the juju just kind of came out of the woodwork.
Yeah. Well, that can happen. But I think Tommy's test is good.
Okay.
You know, and then you'll put a clutch in it. It'll be a nice project.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell that you're up for doing this yourself.
Oh, man, you can tell that I'm a cheapskate, huh?
No, I can tell that
No,
you're an adventurer.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and a trooper is a good one to do this job with.
Oh, yeah.
You don't even need a lift. You can do it right on the ground, man.
Oh, yeah, with that 500-pound transmission on your chest. Good luck. Make sure you notify next of kin when you start the project because they may want to make the arrangements in advance. See you, David.
Thanks so much.
Good luck.
Bye.
Bye-bye. 888-CAR TALK. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, boys. This is Natalie calling from New Haven, Connecticut.
Hi, Natalie.
Natalie.
What's going on in New Haven? Anything exciting?
Yeah, not much, but I'm in need of a new or a used car, and I need your help.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, there are two facets to the problem.
Yeah.
One is the easy part, which is I'm a single mother on a limited budget, so I need something reliable, practical, safe, 4 doors, good gas mileage, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And you got $100 to spend. That's part 2.
105. Yeah, okay. Facet 2, here's the hard part. The problem is I'm a nut. My previous cars have been a 55 Buick and a 56 Studebaker.
Oh.
And I can't do it. I know I need, a Toyota Corolla. I went and looked at one. It's fine. A Honda Civic, lovely. I need something with zest.
Pizzazz?
Pizzazz, exactly.
So you are right now driving a 56 Studebaker?
Actually, that's for sale. I'm borrowing my sister's car, and that's just not working too well.
How much you want for the Studebaker?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
you got
I'm not here to
$20,000
buy
spare?
cars.
No, I mean, how much you looking for?
20 to 25.
20 to 25 what?
1,000.
Get out of here. What are you, nuts? I thought you were going to say $25.
That's usually his budget. So anyway, what?
It's a classic. It's a Golden Hawk.
How old's the baby?
17 months.
Oh, you got to get something serious here.
Yeah, you can't be driving no.
How much
stinking
money you got?
Studebaker.
Roughly up to 12,000, maybe more if I siphon it out of his college fund.
Well, how many miles a year do you drive?
At the moment, probably not over 5,000. But someday soon, I might be going back to work, and I might have a longer commute.
My brother's been saying that for 25 years, and he hasn't gone yet. So what do you have your eye on?
Yeah, well, okay. I thought of the PT Cruiser.
Well, you can get one of those certainly for $12,000.
Sure.
Not a new one,
Yeah, its
obviously.
mileage isn't great. It's like in the 20s. I'm looking.
Why? You're only driving 5,000 miles a year.
Yeah, and your Studebaker probably gets 6 miles to the gallon. And you never even noticed.
Right, you're up for 100% increase in mileage here, right?
Yeah. See, on 5,000 miles a year, you don't need something with great mileage. If you can get 20 miles to the gallon, you're doing fine.
It would be nice to do better. So what else is on the short list here?
What else have you looked at that
Well, I
turned you
looked
on?
at a Hyundai Elantra on the recommendation of a friend, and there were certain things I didn't like about it.
Well, it
Okay.
certainly doesn't have the pizzazz of a PT Cruiser. That's
No,
for
indeed.
Sure. Okay.
What else? Well, things like those little boxy, tiny wagons, like the Honda Fit and the Nissan Versa.
Yeah, I love both of those cars, actually. I especially love the Honda Fit. That's a nice little car.
It is a nice little car. I'm just wondering about the safety.
Well, it's going to be safer than a 56 Studebaker, which had no seat belts.
I put in seatbelts, but the things, the brakes are a little iffy.
Yeah, no, I would take any car made today, anywhere in the world, over your Studebaker. in terms of safety.
And wait a minute.
The only way your Studebaker is safer
Is it doesn't
is if
roll.
you're parked in the driveway and
Going vroom, vroom, vroom.
and a tree falls on it. In that case, I'd say
How
it's
did you know?
probably
You were out there last night watching me?
it's probably safer than the Elantra if a tree falls on it or a cement truck backs into your driveway.
Then you're good.
And smashes into your car by mistake. Otherwise, I think if you're actually going to move the thing down the road like with the other vehicles, then you're probably better off with anything that's being made today, including the Elantra and the Honda Fit and the PT Cruiser.
All right. How about the Scion XB?
I like the Scion.
I had Scion written down here.
I like the Scion XB, except I'd wait till next year.
Yeah, because it doesn't have enough airbags in it yet.
Right, and I think the new this is the last year for this car next year, but you might not be able to afford a new one. That's going to be probably. I'm guessing that when that comes out next year, it's going to be $15,000. Could you swing that?
Well, if you're gonna,
You got it. Okay, you can swing it.
no, but if you're gonna get 15 to 20,000,
doesn't need to go to college.
if you're gonna get 15 to 20,000 bucks for the Studebaker, you can spend something reasonable here.
Yeah, look, Natalie, college is way overrated. I mean, Tommy and I both went to college, and you can see what it did for us. So I would say for the short term at least, I wouldn't be afraid to go out and get yourself a PT Cruiser. I mean, why not?
Sure.
All right.
The other vehicle you may want to look at is the Chevy HHR.
Oh yeah.
It looks like a little panel truck. It's in the same mode as the PT Cruiser. It kind of looks like it's a knockoff of the PT Cruiser.
It might be worth a trip to the Chevy dealer.
It's very cute, and it definitely has pizzazz.
All righty.
If you don't like that, get the Honda Fit.
Okay.
And if you don't like that,
Call back.
In a year or so, you can go and get a Scion XB.
And meanwhile, I'll sit in the driveway with the Studebaker going
Vroom, vroom. That's it.
vroom.
And watch out for falling trees and cement trucks. See
I
you
mean,
next-
I think your main concern's got to be safety because you got a little kid there. So forget about the pizzazz. If you have to trade off pizzazz for safety, you got to go with safety.
Yeah, well, I was hoping for both.
Well, you can get both,
Well-
but you're not going to do it for $12,000, maybe.
All right.
You know.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
See you, Natalie.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, it's happened again. You've wasted another perfectly good hour listening to Car Talk.
Me too.
Yeah. Our esteemed producer is Doug the Subway Fugitive, not a slave to fashion, Bongo Boy Berman. Our associate producers are Louis Cronin, the Barbarian, and David Gibraltar Green. Our senior web lackey is Doug the Old Gray Mare. Our engineer is John Cartman Perotti. And our technical, spiritual, and menu advisor, just back from the East Laredo, fried tomato, baked potato, pasta Alfredo, chocolate tornado, clean your Play-Doh, is Sean Bugsy Lawler. Our public opinion pollster is Paul Murky of Murky Research, assisted by statistician Margin of Error. Our customer care representative is Haywood Jabuzoff. Our personal makeup artist is Bud Tugley. Our staff orthopedist is Denise Hoyt. Our wardrobe advisor is Luke Howard Fitzhugh. Our Ralph Cramden impersonator from the Dubai office is Mohammed Ahmada. Our physics graduate student is Laura Vernersha. Our feng shui consultant in Mumbai is Ria Ranjit. Our Russian chauffeur is Peikoff and Dropov. Our optometric firm is CF Eye Care. Guest accommodations are provided by the Horseshoe Road Inn. And the head of our
Reminds himself to find out who does my hair every time he hears us say it. This is NPR, National Public Radio.